Welcome back to Cap. I'm Corbin.
And I'm Cody.
And today we're going to tell you why One Battle After Another should win Best Picture in 15 minutes or less. It's the ninth part in a 10-part series where each episode we break down what's great about all 10 nominees at the 98th Academy Awards. Today we're only talking about the positives, the stuff in the movie that's great, the making of the movie, no outside drama, no negatives. Of course, this is the second most nominated film this year, 13 nominations. If it wasn't for Sinners, you would say 13 is an incredible number. It's like the second highest there had ever been anyway. So really incredible showing in director, actor, supporting actress, two supporting actor nominations, adapted screenplay, casting, cinematography, film editing, score, production design, and sound. Where do you even start with this movie, Cody?
I mean, basically got nominated in every major category, I feel like. So you can go really any direction that you want. And yeah, I think it's just a fun year too because it does really feel a little bit like a two-horse race. And one battle, I think it has a very good case, especially on a technical level of kind of being the best movie of the year.
And it's the old guard, old Hollywood, a master maybe finally getting his chance versus a
True.
new up and comer in Ryan Coogler, built out of the Marvel system. It is an interesting dichotomy of two parts of Hollywood. They're both going to come away with some awards at the end of the night. Neither of these movies are going to go home empty handed. But One Battle, I think, was the one that the expectations were so high for. Sinners, not a lot of people knew what to expect there, what was going to happen, and it kind of came in and blew everyone out of the water. But One Battle, Paul Thomas Anderson adapting Vineland, this book and a script that he's had for so long that he's wanted to try and make and have happen. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in the lead role. And I think it does, amazingly live up to a lot of the expectations. It looks incredible. It's a pretty long movie, over 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and yet it feels like it flies by when you're watching it. A ton of electric performances, even the unnominated ones like Chase Infinity, who doesn't get the Oscars love, was incredible in an introducing debut role in movies for her.
I love to see all the noms kind of in the supporting categories as well, because those are some of my favorite performances. Like you said, I mean, Leo is the lead. He is still great in this. I don't know if he has the best chance to win Best Actor, unfortunately. I feel like
He didn't try.
true, which I mean, I don't think he cares at this point, which is fair, but I feel like I kind of wanted to give it to him a month ago, but now at this point, it's like I don't even know if he wants it.
I think he could have won it if he had gone out there and
Yeah,
done the campaign thing and put his full effort in. But he was out doing a lot of interviews, more than he ever really has around the release of the film, really just to get people to go see this movie, trying to get it out there and to uplift the rest of the cast, support Paul Thomas Anderson, support Tiana Taylor, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, like all these other people. I don't think in any of his press it was really about him trying to get an award. And you've seen, in the last couple of months, the way that it's become clear he's not going to win this thing, I don't think.
but he's still all around great. And I think specifically like his chemistry with the two female leads of Chase Infinity and Tiana Taylor is superb, to say the least. I am surprised that Chase Infinity didn't get nommed, although it's a stacked kind of category for Best Actress. Obviously, that's going to be every year though. And then Tiana Taylor obviously is not in the bulk of the movie, but the part that she is in, she's just phenomenal. And she has that lasting impact on the movie, even though she's not in it that long.
It's her absence that almost has a greater effect. She's this figure that looms large over the last 2/3 of the film that she's not in, because she's so electric in the beginning.
Yeah, like the whole plot still, in the second and third acts, it revolves around, the consequences to her actions. So even though she's not there, that impact is still super strong. I think I would give for sure her the Academy Award for this year. That may just be my opinion, but I think that's a shoe-in, almost in my eyes. And then yeah, on the other side, supporting actor wise, I think Benicio is just as phenomenal in limited screen time. Really adding this really fun kind of comedic element just bouncing off of Leo. Obviously, with Leo, more in an intense situation, and Benicio just his guy. And then, of course, the second scene too, where, of course, he has the iconic line, just a few beers.
Few
This
small
movie,
beers.
it's quotable. It looks beautiful. I mean, talking about one of the most memorable scenes of the year, I think, is obviously just the climactic car chase, which gets talked about a ton, but it is legitimately one of the coolest chase scenes I've ever seen. I've never really, I feel like, seen something specifically like that, which is dope and a great, again, just great direction. But yeah, on a technical level, I think it might have the edge over Sinners, honestly.
Not only is it a two-horse race, but both these movies deal with similar-ish topics and are definitely in conversation with one another. One Battle After Another is a movie that definitely feels very relevant to today and to America. Sinners is a truly American story about the history. Both of these are dealing with racial politics. Obviously, One Battle After Another is a movie that has been a little bit critiqued for its portrayal of Black women, or the fact that it comes from Paul Thomas Anderson, a white filmmaker. And I can recognize those critiques, and I hear them, especially when they're coming from people that actually have that like personal understanding of what it means to be a person of color. This is the movie only Paul Thomas Anderson could make, and it's the movie that he's been trying to make for a really long time. Obviously, the Tiana Taylor character does leave the movie. She just frees herself and gets to go on and live her own life away from all these expectations. And it's a movie about how everyone else in her world and who's around her is constantly kind of just seeing her as one thing and not as the complex individual that she is. Whether it's Leo just kind of attaching himself to her as this like method of revolution, or Sean Penn purely seeing her as this sex symbol that he's like creepily attracted to, or even Chase Infinity, who never even knew her and like sees her as something greater, something mythical, something that's beyond her touch, and she's all of those things at once. It's like, this is a really complex character. She's also not necessarily making the right decision and everything. Like, she's maybe she does the wrong thing at certain points, but I think that is all part of the story that he's trying to tell. And again, from a personal standpoint, Paul Thomas Anderson is married to a biracial woman. He has biracial children. It's a movie about how, white men and white people often co-opt these revolutions and then kind of end up giving it up when it doesn't really matter, as we see with Bob as this old stoner who's really just trying to take care of his daughter because he's a white guy who can survive in this world. He doesn't have to keep fighting. So I think the movie's very self-aware of those critiques and of those problems that some people have, and it's commenting itself on them. It's a very complex movie in that way, I think.
Yeah, and I give a lot of credit to the script for that depth too. 100%. One of the things I did like about it a lot that you mentioned, the fact that kind of Chase Infinity, sees her mother as not who she is, obviously, kind of this hero, which I mean, partly she's a hero, for obvious reasons, but she did rat out her entire crew, which I feel like
And
that's the
she,
thing in this
leaves
movie
her kid
too.
at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, she kind of doesn't have a choice at that point, but she
She
100%,
could have taken her with.
ditches the family, yeah, which is pretty tough. I do think Chase Infinity is awesome in this movie. Shout out to her as well for being an Indiana native, which is really fun. I do wish that she got the nom, if I'm being completely honest, but and more so too because of the third act is 100% circled around her, and she deals with a ton of action at the end, which I think is very well directed. There's that other scene as well before the car chase where she escapes from the bounty hunters or whatever, and that one guy helps her escape. That I think that's one of the most tense scenes in the movie as well. Even at the end of it where she's sitting in the car and it won't start 'cause she doesn't have the key for it, and she has to go back
Go
in,
back.
and everyone's just laying dead. I think that's one of the most intense scenes in the movie, and I mean half the movie has Sean Penn in it, and it's just disgustingly intense. So yeah, we've got to mention him, and obviously the supporting nom. I think he could have a chance at the Oscar. I mean, it probably is one of the best performances of the year.
If he shows up.
Yeah, if he shows up, I just want him. I want to see him smoking. I think that's just really funny that he does not care.
Things
But
indoors,
yeah,
man.
I don't know if I'd give it to him, but it's definitely one of the best performances of the year. I don't think there's any debate about that.
Him and Benicio are kind of two ends of a spectrum where it's like Benicio's so damn lovable and he's so damn hateable, but those are both just incredible performances embodying those two aspects. Sean Penn, absolutely vile. The scene when at the end he's captured Chase Infinity's character and he's doing the paternity test is just like really intense filmmaking. What the result's going to be, obviously you kind of deep down know, I think from the very beginning of the movie, what the result's going to be. I love the design elements of that. I think the paternity test is cool. There's like the trust device, which obviously plays a pivotal role in the score as well, but even just that as like a physical manifestation of like revolutionary spy gear, I think that's really fun. This movie is contemporary. It's set in the now. It feels very real in reality, but then there's also these kind of like fun little flourishes of stuff that's like, well, maybe this is a little bit set in the future, or maybe this is weirdly out of time.
doesn't have to commit to being, oh, this is the story of today, or, I feel like it does a great job of presenting this story and not really telling you what to think about it. I think another scene, especially on a rewatch for me, that stood out was when, Sean Penn is and the whole crew is in riot gear and stuff. And there's a peaceful protest going on because obviously they did this big hit on the city, against immigrants and stuff, which again, obviously very relevant. But the thing that stood out this time on the rewatch was I didn't even catch, it's their guys who are starting kind of the unpeaceful protest and throwing a bottle of a Molotov cocktail or whatever. So just little details like that too of not like shoving that in your face. I feel like just kind of rolling the scene, and if you catch it, you catch it. But yeah, very timely, and I think PTA is really a master altogether, and he doesn't do a lot of movies kind of in the modern age. So I think a little bit different from him, maybe out of his comfort level, but yeah, I mean, visually, I think it just allowed him to be even more creative in a sense. So I think it's one of his best.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that scene, the immigration camps in the beginning that they're trying to break the people out of. All of it is very relevant to the current state of politics. Even like the way Sean Penn is styled and like the garb he's wearing, it he just looks like a fucking ice agent. He's like that Greg Bavino guy who's walking around dressed like a fucking Nazi. And there's also, that patheticness to him as a person and as a character. And then in the end, it's kind of tragic what happens to him. You don't really feel that bad for him, but he's so bought into this cult of the Christmas adventures. And then what do they do the second they don't need him? They fucking kill him. The scenes of him getting his new office, pull those pictures and memes up every time Trump fires one of his advisors. Sorry, Christy Nome, you've got a new promotion headed somewhere. Like this is all very relevant stuff.
Yeah, I will say with this character too, like at least that's a pretty successful conclusion. You are satisfied. I feel like with that
Yeah.
scene, just having to watch him the entire movie, I feel like it was difficult for me at least. Just not something I feel like I enjoyed altogether. You kind of see he doesn't even really belong with the Christmas Adventures, I guess. He only wants to be with them just because like I feel like no one else will accept him, and he kind of wants to just
Well,
be
why
in
do
with
people
people.
turn to fascism, Cody?
Which is like it's because obviously him and Tiana Taylor have a relationship, which would be very against the Christmas adventurers. But I just think that's an interesting character moment, just to show you how big of a scumbag this guy is. Of he has no limits. Obviously you see that too with Chase Infinity. If it lines up, we've got a problem, and he takes action to eliminate her basically. So just really hateable, but I guess that's definitely what makes him a good character.
Yeah, and I mean all the Christmas adventure stuff I really like because it's the most ridiculous version of what's a secret club of white supremacists that are running our country. Well, actually, this probably isn't that far off from whatever secret clubs or whatever meetings JD Vance is going to on the weekends and fucking 20 Project 2026 and all that bullshit. It's kind of just enough satirical and funny enough where you can be like, well, if you think this is a critique of yourself, if you think this is an anti-conservative movie, then really you're just calling yourself even more silly. But the fucking Proud Boys, that's a dumb name too. Yeah, I don't know.
Not great either, but yeah, that is the thing as well. Like, it could definitely be based on a lot more true events than one would think as well. Obviously, just it does feel so realistic, especially in our today's age, which is just insane. But overall, even though it has super strong themes, like I think it still does have a lot of fun. Even the scenes with Leo and kind of heckling her friends when they come pick her up from the dance and stuff. Like he adds a lot of comedic elements that 100% like this is an intense movie, especially like from the second act on. But I think they do a great job of establishing these characters. So when the action is going down, we do care about them as well. It is very well rounded. Like you said, maybe it looks a little bit long on paper, but the first half hour is just so damn good with Tiana Taylor. It's basically just a 2 hour movie, kind of with a dope prologue. So I really do love its structure.
Leo's funny, whether it's him on the phone trying to get the password right with the guy, or he's talking to the teacher about the Grand Wizard Benjamin Franklin.
I love that
It's
scene.
it's an interesting move, late career schleppy Leo. I don't know if we'll ever see him again as Jack in Titanic or that kind of clean cut, pure heartthrob. he plays this era of himself very well. And yeah, give one battle after another Best Picture. Why not? And great needle drops too. Dirty Work, American Girl.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.